Hi everyone. Today, let's talk about Beyond Meat. This will be a full stock review of Beyond Meat, and to start, I will go over the company's website. Then I will go over a couple of articles about the company, starting with their newly announced breakfast. Then I will go over a little bit about their potential partnership with McDonald's. Then I will go over one positive stock analysis and one negative stock analysis. Then I will go over the technical analysis as well as my current option position in Beyond Meat. If you like trading stocks and options and making money, definitely like and subscribe. Welcome to the Portfolio Bulletin. Let's get started. So starting off with the website here, you can see they want to make everything about the plants, and they use a lot of pea protein in their foods, and then they list their mission. The goal is to shift people away from animal meats to plant-based meats in a way that can positively impact growing global issues as well as human health. And then they have this graphic to represent their goals: improve human health, positively impact CO2, address global resource constraints, as well as improve animal welfare. And they're approaching this by still allowing you to eat the things that you want to eat, but doing it in a way that is minimally disruptive to your life. And then they talk about the current impacts of their meat. It costs 99% less water, 93% less land, 90% less CO2, and 46% less energy. All of this makes the planet more efficient, and if they can achieve their goal, they will completely replace the entire meat industry. Moving on to their Go Beyond tab, they talk about some of their big name backers, as well as what it would mean if every single person moved over to their products and away from traditional meats. Next up, they have Beyond Beef, ground beef. This is a little bit easier for them to replicate because it's a ground material versus something that has a defined look. And this is something that the CEO has spoken on, and I plan to show a little bit of a video of him speaking about some of these topics later. Then they have the sausages. I haven't tried these yet, but I do plan to. They have a traditional brat, a hot Italian sausage, as well as a sweet Italian. So this is their pork replication. They also have beef crumbles. I haven't actually seen these in the store yet, but they are advertising them already. Next up here, they have the Beyond Meatballs. This is similar to the ground beef, but they did add in some seasonings, and they're pre-prepared for you. And then they have their breakfast sausages, which will be making an appearance later, as they have announced a breakfast partnership. So as you can see, they've replicated some of the most common ways that you would consume these meat products. Of course, they don't have things like steaks or pork butts, and they're still working on getting into the chicken industry, but it's definitely a good starting point for products that already exist. You can also purchase these products directly from their website, and this gives you an idea of how much some of these items are. So you can buy a pack of 6 ground beef packages for $72, which is a little bit over $10 per pound. For reference, ground beef is usually between $3 and $5 per pound, so we're talking about 2 to 3 times more expensive than traditional ground beef right now, and this is something they're definitely working on. The ground beef burgers are more competitively priced. You can get 10 patties plus 2 ground beef packages for $55, which works out to be less than $2 per patty, plus the bonus ground beef. And also you can see every single one of these items is sold out, which is good to see. It means they do have some demand for these products, but it's also not good that they are already sold out and they're not able to maintain their momentum in sales. Anytime they go through a retailer, they're going to lose some margin. So the preferred method would be direct from their website, and currently you can't get any of these products directly through them. Moving on to the first article, Beyond Meat inspires consumers to kickstart the new year with a better-for-you breakfast. The company is partnering with local restaurants across the country, providing its breakfast sausage patties to allow them to make breakfast sandwiches. As a result of this, the stock price went up 4%, as Beyond Meat is making it easier and easier for consumers to consume their products while making minimal changes to their morning routines. It's also cool that they're going about this through the small business world. Small businesses obviously need help right now due to the Rona, and this seems like a smart play for Beyond Meat. It gets their product out there without having to make an agreement with larger restaurant chains, as well as supporting small businesses. They then list all of the different restaurants that are serving their breakfast sausages. So you have companies in Austin, Dallas, Los Angeles, New York City, San Antonio, San Francisco, Seattle, and Washington, D.C. So basically they run the gambit of all of the most major cities. And if you live in any of these cities, you should definitely go try it and comment down below what you think of the Beyond Breakfast Sandwich. Moving on to the next article, McDonald's unveils a McPlant line, which includes a meatless patty from Beyond Meat. Obviously, McDonald's is a massive company, and any partnership with them should be expected to drive some pretty good sales. There seems to be a little bit of a disagreement between the two companies, as McDonald's is calling it the McPlant, and Beyond Meat wants to at least get their trademark in there somewhere using the Beyond name. But McDonald's is obviously not going to do that, and because they are a much larger company, it should be expected that they will win this fight. And Beyond should definitely take advantage of this deal anyway. Perhaps they can find some way to get the Beyond name into McDonald's, but not on the sandwich the same way that the Impossible Whopper is on the sandwich for Burger King. McDonald's said McPlant was the name that was chosen in their market testing, and they are testing multiple suppliers for this product, but they will not manufacture it themselves. The spokesperson for Beyond Meat said that they co-created a patty for the McPlant line, and of course the stock rallied on that news. They started testing the Beyond patties in Ontario, Canada. The pilot did end in April, and they have no plans to bring it back right now. A former McDonald's CEO, Don Thompson, was an early investor in Beyond and sits on the plant maker's board, and investors speculate that the connection between the two companies could mean a long-lasting partnership between Beyond and the world's largest chain restaurant. This seems to be quite a gray area for Beyond. McDonald's is saying one thing and Beyond is saying another. It's almost like McDonald's is dragging their feet when moving forward with this deal, but they continue to talk about the McPlant line, and it is expected to go forward. The question is, will they maintain this partnership with Beyond, or will they move to another supplier? Moving on to the positive article for Beyond Meat. If you have some extra cash laying around, should you buy Beyond Meat? They say 2020 has been a pretty difficult year for the meat market, and Beyond is up 66.5% for 2020, despite retreating 40% from its 2020 highs. You can see here on the charting, the stock started out around that $75 level. We had the dip in March and April with the Rona moving in, quickly rallied back up to its previous levels, all the way up to $200 per share, and then right back down to $126 per share. So pretty volatile, but it did have a pretty strong year regardless. And this early pullback could be a way to buy this stock around 50% off of its highs. You can see the all-time highs here are $239 per share. They say the stock is down because of its slowing growth. The company grew only 2.7% in third quarter after growing 69%. Management attributed this to delays in market rollouts, mainly in the restaurant sector. Of course, consumers stockpiled Beyond Meat products in second quarter because every grocery store at the time was getting raided due to the Rona, and everyone was concerned whether there would be enough food to go around. Obviously, it's not good that their growth did slow down significantly. And while the company is still small, they are continuing to grow, and they're growing into a sector that is massive. The meat industry is over $1 trillion every year, and if they can get even a section of this into their market cap, then this company still has a lot of room to grow. They are continuing to innovate and expand aggressively, and their products are now in Costco stores starting in December. Beyond Meat even launched a minced pork in China, which is not a product that we've seen over here yet, because they are currently experiencing a pork shortage. No plant meat companies have gotten approval in China yet, besides Beyond Meat. So this does give them a leg up, and they are ahead of most of their competitors right now in terms of R&D. So this does give them a pretty good advantage going forward. And then they talk about some of the big opportunity partners that they could potentially partner with, including Starbucks, Yum Brands, Dunkin', and McDonald's. So let's talk about a little bit of the bear case here before we move on to the technical analysis. The plant-based industry has an annual growth rate expected of 19.4%, set to generate around $13.8 billion in sales in 2027. Of course, Beyond Meat is the front runner right now, but let's go into why he thinks this is not a good investment. So Beyond Meat is currently trading at around 738 times forward earnings, compared to its competitor, Tattooed Chef, at around 205 times. So Beyond Meat is currently trading at a pretty extreme premium, and in my opinion, this is attributable to the fact that they are the front runner, they do own most of the market share for now, and they are continuing to expand aggressively. Despite Tattooed Chef trading at only 205 times versus Beyond Meat, Tattooed Chef's EBITDA margin was only negative 3.6, whereas Beyond Meat was 4.5. So Beyond Meat is losing money a little bit faster than Tattooed Chef, but this is again expected because it is a faster growing and larger company. Tattooed Chef can't take quite the same amount of risk as Beyond Meat can, and this is really the benefit of being first into the sector. Moving on here, they see competitors moving into the market as a more and more difficult challenge, including big companies like Nestle, Tyson Foods, and Unilever. Obviously, these companies have a lot of capital to work with, and if they get into the meat industry, they could potentially take over, which would create a pretty difficult situation for Beyond Meat, even if they do currently have a competitive advantage. Next here, I want to quickly show a couple of clips from this interview he did on CNBC, just to kind of give you an idea of who this CEO is and what his vision is for Beyond Meat.
I appreciate it.
Okay, wild ride over the last 6 months. Did you anticipate that you would see this type of moves, these dramatic swings up and down?
You know, we're really focused on the long-term prospects for the business. It's been interesting to watch all of this, but overall we believe that we're moving forward the fundamentals of the business in a way that's really remarkable. Whether you look at McDonald's or you look at Subway or Dunkin' or KFC, these tests that we're involved in, those are some of the largest names in food, and we're partnering with them to bring our products to the consumer. So we're excited about where we are. Yeah, I think for us, the effort here is as much a mission to build a large and sustainable global protein company that will be around for decades to come. So we don't look at the 6 or 12-month period in the stock market. We look more about, are we building the right fundamentals for the business? And we think we're doing that. And so if you think about this Dunkin' product here, this is about 50% less fat in our sausage patty than the leading sausage patty on the market. It's 44% less saturated fat. It's 37% less sodium, but more protein and more iron. The idea is that we can build a piece of meat directly from plants. You don't need an animal to do that. What the animal's doing is consuming a lot of vegetation and a lot of water. They're using their biology to organize that in the form of muscle, which we then harvest as meat. Well, we can use technology today to pull those inputs directly from plants and organize them directly from plants for the consumer on their plate. So people are excited by that. I'm not doing a thing. My focus is entirely on growing this business. You know, people have asked me, do you want to do a partnership with a larger company? I have no interest in that anymore. What I'm interested in is becoming that larger company. I have a goal to make this a $40 billion company in terms of revenue. I want to be very active in Asia, very active in Europe, very active here in the United States. Again, think about those marquee partnerships that we're lining up, whether tests with McDonald's, tests with Dunkin', tests with KFC, tests with Subway. That's in a single quarter. Right, so if you see that's progress, I'm not sure you'd want to.
Those are tests. How many of those do you think will wind up in full-time deals?
We've never had a test that hasn't gone forward in one degree or another. I have to tell you,
this is passing my test.
There we go.
Clearly, he's got a big vision for Beyond Meat. He wants it to be a $40 billion company in terms of revenue, which is definitely achievable within the space. The question is, can they do it while competing with all of these other companies that are now moving into their space? I like that he has this big vision and he knows where he wants to go with the company. And he seems very dedicated to pushing the company in that direction. He does want to partner with these restaurant brands, but he also wants to put forward his brand and move into the meat market. Seems to be a little bit of a different approach versus some of the other plant-based meat companies, and this vision may make him the biggest part of this industry in the future. Moving on to the technicals here, you can see in May we were right around $90 per share. Since then, we rallied all the way up to $160 and then back down to $123. Since then, it went up to $200 per share and back down to this $116, $117 level, which we hit again here in the past couple of days. Then we got some decent news about the breakfast sandwiches and new partnerships going forward, and the stock has since rallied to $129 per share here pre-market on January 14th. It is below the two moving averages here. The green is the 200 and the blue is the 100-day moving average. So the stock is rallying back up to those levels. The question is this sustainable and is this a good price? If you're an investor, you want to make sure that you are bought into this brand long term because the volatility is pretty extreme. And if you're a trader, make sure that you are getting in at a good price and not buying into these excessive rallies that have more potential to sell off. Personally, I think this is a pretty good time to buy. I think Beyond Meat does have a strong future going forward, despite some of the bumps in the road that they've had recently. But be aware you're in for a bumpy ride if you want to own this stock. Looking at my current position here, I sold the $120 puts out to February 26th, and I purchased the $105 puts. So I have $1,500 at risk here, and I've rolled this position a few times, so you can see I have a pretty large credit here of $756. And as long as the stock stays above this 120 price level, I'll be able to max out my profits. But to be fair, I'm also trading their competitor here in Tattooed Chef at the $20 price range. And so far, this stock has also been doing well at around $25 per share. It has rallied a few dollars since I took this position, and you can see it's in a profit here. So let me know down in the comment section what you think of Beyond Meat. Is this company going to be a major player in the plant-based meat industry and take market share away from the meat industry? Or will competitors come in and take market share? Their price to forward earnings is very expensive, despite the pretty large sell-offs that it's been experiencing recently. Definitely like and subscribe if you got any value out of this video. I do full options portfolio reviews every other week, so if you want to keep up with my options portfolios, definitely check those out if you're an options trader. Of course, this is not financial advice. This is all for entertainment purposes, and have a great day.